The most influential person to have been incarcerated, at least top 5, is Malcolm X. You could say, well, he got something good out of prison. It's a good thing it was there for him to get him on the right track. But that's like saying, thank God for slavery because it gave us jazz.
Hey there, my name is Dan Fruit, and this is Arms Around America, a podcast dedicated to transforming the gun debate into dialogue. Our team interviews families around the country whose lives have been shaped in some way by guns. We adapt their stories into short audio dramas like the one you're about to hear. Then we invite folks with diverse views to explore the questions the plays bring up. We know what guns are, but what do guns mean? Probably something different to each of us. Can we learn to talk across those differences? That's the question behind this podcast. The short audio drama featured in this episode is entitled Rich and Dave. Rich and Dave is based on the oral histories of two brothers. They're first-generation Americans of Afro-Dominican descent who live in a neighborhood of Miami called Liberty City. Liberty City has the highest concentration of Black residents in Miami-Dade County. There are tons of colorful outdoor murals and a rich local music scene. Liberty City also has the highest incidence of gunshot wounds in Miami-Dade County, not necessarily caused by people who live there. The homicide rate in Liberty City is twice the national average, and the median income is half the national average. If you look carefully, you can still see remnants of the concrete walls that separated white and Black neighborhoods there, less than 70 years ago. We met Rich and Dave through our friends at Empowered Youth, a diversion program that offers counseling and vocational training to teens and young men as an alternative to incarceration. Each of us deserves somebody who will listen to our story day after day and night after night. Let's listen to Rich and Dave's story.
Yo, Dave. Dave, ¿estás dormido?
Sí.
Seriously, bro?
Yes, man, seriously asleep.
Yo, I need to ask you something. Come on, push over.
Come on, Rich, man, please. But you gotta sit on my bed?
Yo, I need you to pick up my late Rich Jr. tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, God, please, can't this wait till morning?
Por favor, I'm not gonna see you in the morning.
Why not?
Look, I told my mom I'd drive her to the chemo place by 8.
Yeah.
And I gotta bring her home at 2:30. Same time I pick the kids up at school. Come on, por favor, bro.
Tomorrow I gotta pick up Pasta's insulin and then do the shift on the food truck. You know that.
Oh, man.
All right, whatever. I'll skip my shift. Maybe I'll make it up later. Just go to bed, please.
No. Look, don't skip it. Yo, why don't you just switch with Eddie?
I can't do that.
Why not?
Because I can't.
Come
Good
on,
night.
Eddie's good people. He always helps
Rich.
us out. What?
Good night. Okay, I'll skip out on my shift, all right? Todo bien.
You sure?
Yeah. I'll call Miss Pauline. I'll tell her estoy enfermo.
Okay. Thank you, bro.
All right, good night.
Hey, yo, make room. Gotta lay down. I'm tired too, man.
Will you just stop so I can go to sleep?
Shh. You gonna pick up Marlena. It took me forever to get her to sleep. Hey, I just need some more of that pillow.
Coño, your big ass head already taking up 75%. Shut up.
I thought you were going to sleep.
You keep talking. I'm so tired. I need more pillow. Shut up.
All right, I'm not gonna do that no more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rich.
Okay. What? What?
Last week, Eddie got killed.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I was trying to tell you.
Yo, I can't believe this.
Yeah, I know.
His birthday's next week. He was about to turn 30. Damn.
I know.
What happened?
He was at the 7-Eleven on Northwest 46th. Police roll up, start hassling some dude in the parking lot. Dude moves his hand the wrong way, and the police light him up. Eddie walks out the door, got clipped.
Shit.
For real.
I get this guy's name boss. Yo, you stay away from that 7-Eleven, man.
You ain't gotta worry.
Seriously, ten cuidado. You don't know.
Rich, I'm not a little boy no more. You ain't gotta
I
worry.
know
You're
you ain't a little
25
boy.
years. You're only 2 years older.
Dave.
For real. I know you feel bad about Eddie, man, but that don't mean you gotta go around como papa, okay?
I'm not walking around
I'm no
como papa.
game banger, bro. You and me, we always stay clear to that shit. Besides, I'm in that diversion program, Miss Pauline now. Todo eso is behind me.
Yeah, I know. But I also know part of you is still trying to be in these streets.
Come on, man.
No, I'm gonna tell you. When a bullet hit flesh,
It starts burning. I know, it starts burning.
and you start thinking you might not make it. You know what I'm saying? That shit gets real.
I know.
No, tú no sabes. When you in the hospital and the doctor put the mask over your face, then you'll know. You go to sleep, boom, not knowing if you're gonna wake back up. That's all I'm saying, all right?
Bro, I'm the peacemaker in these streets, I told you. I'm always like diffusing the situation before it gets out of hand. Like, yo, and we ain't gotta take it out, but shit, you wanna take it out, I'm gonna take it out.
You call that a peacemaker.
Bro, I'm Martin Luther King IV, man.
You know I try to keep from all that shit, right? Back when we were kids.
I did what I did. You ain't responsible.
Papa?
Oh, hey, Marlena. What you doing up, princesa? I told you you was gonna wake her.
I had a bad dream. Can I sleep with you and Uncle Dave?
Yes,
No. I'm just joking, Marlena. Come on now.
Uncle Dave thinks he's a funny man.
Hey, you think I'm funny, Marlena?
Uh-huh.
All right.
You ain't that funny.
Then you can sleep here all night.
Okay.
Sweetie, there ain't much room, but you can lie down right between me and Uncle Dave. Come on, right here. How's that?
Good.
Okay, princesa. Que duermas bien.
Did you sleep?
Yeah. Wow. She looks just like Mama in this light.
I used to think Mom was the most beautiful woman in the world.
You should tell her that. Without the used to part.
Yeah. Hey, bro.
Hmm?
When you went away this last time, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard over here, you know?
I know.
I didn't mind paying rent, all that shit, taking care of Marlena and Rich Jr., you know. Keeping the family safe.
How are you keeping the family safe?
Oh, well, you know, I stay strapped.
Yo, you keeping the peace here? Come
Don't
on,
trip,
bro.
Rich. It's all locked up, just like you always did. Unloaded, top shelf of the closet. I'm just saying. It was hard when you were away, you know?
Yeah. I'm sorry, bro.
Hey, you don't need to apologize. It don't matter, because when you went to jail this time, it was different. Every time before, you didn't have kids, right? And you used to have fun in jail, man. You used to have your best life, like it's a little vacation or something. And this time, when you were missing that first year of Rich Jr.'s life, you would call from jail, and I'd be like, yo, why you sound so sad, man? I never heard you like that, and you said...
This is different now. Yo, I miss Rich Jr.'s first haircut. I spend the whole day wondering, what else am I missing out on?
Come with me to this diversion program. It'll keep you out of jail. You learn about culinary and shit. And Miss Pauline says I'm really good. I'm gonna take it all the way. Get serious. You should try it, bro. Cooking is like a vehicle to my future.
Yeah, like literally. You cook on a food truck.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yo, didn't say there was. Especially when you make that steak sandwich. Ooh, man.
Come on, man. Drive the truck with me. You like driving.
No. The food truck is your thing, Dave.
I'll make you steak sandwiches.
Shh.
Oh, sorry. Okay, one last thing.
Okay, but don't wake Marlena.
I won't. So, At my funeral, I want certain stuff done.
Yo, at your funeral? We gotta pick and get to sleep in here, bro. Don't go fucking talk about that shit in my little girl's ears.
Sorry.
You think about Eddie, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe.
Well, just save it for another time.
Yeah, okay.
What kind of stuff?
What?
What kind of stuff you want at your funeral?
Oh, okay. I don't want to be put in the dirt. I want to get cremated, and I do not want people dressed in black. I want everybody in, chartreuse.
The fuck is chartreuse?
It's yellow, bro. Why you gotta act ignorant? It's a special kind of yellow, like a yellow-green. I look fire in chartreuse.
Oh, always doing the most, bro. But nah, you telling the wrong person, because I'm gonna die before you on account of being older.
That's not a thing, and you know it. And I'm telling you, if I die first, I better be looking down at you and see you all dressed in chartreuse. And if I see you crying at my funeral, crying like you a little girl, bro, I swear to God, I'm gonna laugh at you the whole time, you feel me? I'm gonna be laughing at your yellow-green ass from the other side like this.
Nah. I'm gonna die first, bro. And I'm gonna laugh at you like this.
Papa.
Oh, sorry, Marlena.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. Go back to sleep. Yo tengo un niño llenito de flores, hijo de María, la de los dolores.
Coño. I ain't heard that in a minute.
Yeah, I hummed it to myself every night when I was away. Si mi madre llora, déjela llorar, porque nadie sabe la pena que trae. Dave, you should work your shift tomorrow.
For real? What about Mom?
Nah, I'll pick my mom up on my way back from getting the kids. She can wait a few extra minutes. Yo, just bring me some of that steak sandwich, all right?
Bro, I ain't bringing you shit. Are you kidding me? You just kept me up this entire time when you could have picked it up in the first place?
Bro, I had to figure this shit out.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. I told you this when we first... Move your big ass head off my bed. Get off my bed.
What you did? No,
bro.
now you don't come on this.
Shh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, you're not sorry. You didn't call in the first place.
Stop talking.
Be quiet.
You've been listening to Rich and Dave by Dan Fruiting Company. It's one of 6 short audio dramas that make up the Arms Around America podcast. Rich and Dave features Christopher Rivas as Dave, Krista Gonzalez as Marlena, and Justin Alston as Rich. I recently spoke with Justin about his relationship to the play.
I guess it just really hit me because it was just a really great opportunity to show the connection between these brothers, the humanity. They're brothers just like anyone who has a brother loves their brother, like you have private jokes with your brother, you know, there's shared history, there's shorthand, there's all of those things. And so the thing that really spoke to me was just getting to the truth of that.
I'm an idealist, so I believe that getting to that truth that Justin's talking about, the truth of who people are beyond assumptions and stereotypes, is key to a productive dialogue, including the gun debate. And the arts are one way of getting to that truth.
I always appreciate the ability to bring art forms into this conversation. We can really shift people's perspective and also inform in a different way.
Oh, and who are you?
My name is Refugio Rodriguez. I'm the Chief Strategist and Equity Officer for the Hope and Heal Fund. Our focus is to reduce gun violence in the areas of homicides and suicides.
Well, welcome to Arms Around America, Refugio. Please continue. You were talking about how art can shift our perspectives on guns.
Yes, you're imparting on people an insight into what life looks like for us, for some people who think, that's a gangbanger. No, that's an uncle, or that's a father. That's somebody taking care of their family. Some African-American or Latino who gets shot and killed, we kind of assume it's gang-related in some ways. And people have very little empathy.
You can hear Justin's empathy in his performance as Rich.
Papa.
Oh, hey, Marlena. What you doing up, princesa?
And we can definitely hear a lack of empathy in our current national gun conversation.
Cowards! They're gutless! They're not here! I'm talking about gun violence!
And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
What might that conversation sound like if we could just start from acknowledging each other's humanity? Maybe it would sound something like this.
Look, I completely disagree with your interpretation, let's call it, of the Second Amendment. But I understand your natural desire to want to protect yourself and your family.
Thank you. And I think your ideas about making it more difficult to purchase guns legally are misinformed. Would you like to know why I think that?
Yeah, I would. How about we discuss it over coffee?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm buying, okay?
Okay, that's my utopian fantasy version. But I'll tell you what, dear listener. If you agree to sit down with me and talk to me about what guns mean to you, I am definitely buying the coffee. Both Rich and Dave have been in and out of jail for years. On the night we meet them, they're out of jail and determined to stay out. What used to be tolerable...
And you used to have fun in jail, man. You used to have your best life, like it's a little vacation or something.
...has, with the birth of their kids, become unbearable.
Yo, I miss Rich Jr.'s first haircut. I spend the whole day wondering, what else am I missing out on?
And if you want to stay out of jail, having an illegal gun around is probably not the best way to do it. But then again, in Rich and Dave's world, not having a gun around can also be a vulnerability.
Yeah, so this is, I think, one of those paradoxes.
Oh, look who it is. Our old friend, Breon Bain.
That's the paradox there. Is on the one hand, yes, you know it's a liability. You're carrying a weapon, and you know that this could cause more drama and heartache and heartbreak and potentially incarceration or cost you your life. In many cases, folks feel like this is the only way in this environment that I could actually protect myself. Peace and blessings. My name is Breon Bain. I'm an artist, a prison activist, and abolitionist. I'm a father. I'm a partner. I've been a community organizer most of my life. I am a professor. I teach at UCLA in the Department of World Arts and Cultures, Dance, in the Department of African American Studies, and at the School of Law. The violence doesn't start with the guns. The violence starts with kids not having access to food to go to school. That's the kind of violence. There's the psychological violence of being taught lies in school that tell you you and your people are nothing. You came from nothing. You will never be anything at all, right? That's this kind of psychological violence. The violence comes from on your way to school, the way the police treat you, especially in the last couple of years, as the anti-Black and neo-Nazi rhetoric is ratcheting up. Like, what am I gonna do to protect my family? So it's like we honor the values of Dr. King. We also realize the truth of Robert Williams in his 1962 seminal work, Negroes with Guns, talking about being tired of the civil rights movement getting so beat up and beat down in North Carolina, and saying it's not a matter of violence, it's a matter of self-defense.
It's not a matter of violence. It's a matter of self-defense. How did we get here?
It didn't happen in a vacuum, and it didn't happen overnight.
This is Refugio again.
There is a precursor. There are reasons for it. To me, that speaks really to the importance of understanding racism and how it has affected people of color particularly, but also white people. Any community that's been prosecuted, that's been oppressed, that's been hurt and harmed for 500 years, we would see the same conditions in terms of violence, in terms of trauma, in terms of pain, in terms of poverty. And it doesn't matter to what community you did that would occur. People may draw inherently some different conclusions when we don't provide that context. And they say, well, that community clearly must be inherently racist or inherently violent or inherently this. You need to understand that there were a lot of things that contributed to these conditions that created what we have now.
And one of those things that contributed to Rich and Dave's circumstances from the time they were kids is the prison industrial complex.
One of the things I learned from my early days in intervention work was that most adults would not fare very well in dealing with the things that young people deal with on a daily basis. We judge these young people for not doing well with adversity, but considering what they have to deal with and carry in their lifetime, I think that they do very well in coping. Most adults, even with resources, would not, do well losing a friend to gun violence. And yet we tend to incarcerate these young people because they didn't deal with it well, because they acted out. Of course they're going to act out. They're trying to cope, and we're not affording them the opportunity or the support as if we would fare better, and the reality is we probably wouldn't.
I think probably the most influential person to have been incarcerated in American history, at least top 5, is Malcolm X. His transformation in prison is, for many, a blueprint of what's possible. He went from being the lowest of the low in so many ways, coming out of the foster care system, having his family split up, to getting involved in all kinds of drug use and abuse and pushing and prostitution, sex work, as we call it now. He was involved in all of that and then became ultimately one of the most influential human rights activists the world has ever seen. So you could look at that 2 different ways. You could say, well, he got something good out of prison. It's a good thing it was there for him to get him on the right track. But that's a little bit like saying, thank God for slavery because it gave us jazz, right? Maybe we would have come up with something even better than jazz. Imagine if Malcolm had all those supports in place and didn't have to go be caged like an animal, to get access to those things. Why can't our communities have access to the resources, the libraries, the programs, right, that folks are inundated with when they're incarcerated? My first experience holding a gun, I was like 9 or 10 years old. It was my father's, because my dad joined the military and he had a .38 in the house. So I was going through the drawers. I don't know what I was looking for, but I found this gun and it was never there again. But I remember that. I remember how heavy it was. I remember holding that in my hands. I remember that experience stayed with me. But for my dad, joining the Army was, for him, as he calls it, the poor man's way to see the world. And over the years, he would say things like, I got so much discipline. I got the opportunity to travel. And in my mind, I would say, well, you know what? Malcolm X said, no black man should join the white man's army and go kill black and brown people for the white man. And I would always think, there's got to be another way for me to get disciplined. There's got to be another way for me to travel and see the world. There's got to be another way for me to actually provide for my family outside of having to hold this weapon, and potentially take the life of someone else. My dad said it in boot camp. He did basic training, and he asked one of the senior officers, what's my number one job when I go to Korea, when I go to all the different overseas assignments? He said, your number one job is to kill the enemy. Be prepared to kill the enemy. So that way of thinking, that approach to life, like there may be tons of benefits. I benefited from being able to travel and see the world because my father had those opportunities. But at what cost? At what price? And how can we construct a society where those are not the only options available to us? There's got to be a better way. It can't just be as simple as like go to prison because there's good things there. Those good things need to be in our communities, in our families. We need to have access to those things without having to be caged like animals in the way that Malcolm X talked about it.
In the audio play at the beginning of this episode, there are no guns to be seen or heard. But that doesn't mean they're not present in some way. They're just off stage, as it were. They occupy Rich and Dave's past.
I did what I did. You ain't responsible.
They're on the hip of every cop in Miami.
Dude moves his hand the wrong way and the police light him up.
There's at least one in their apartment.
It's all locked up, just like you always did.
Dave is doing his best to be a responsible gun owner, keeping it locked, unloaded, and inaccessible to the kids. But a gun doesn't need to be loaded. It doesn't need to be heard or seen or even present for that gun to have an effect on you. After all, every gun has a story. Every gun is a story waiting to be told, whether it's off stage or center stage. Where are the offstage guns in your life? Do you check for the nearest exit when you go into a theater or some other crowded place? I do, but only as of recently. When we started this project 5 years ago, my general orientation as a non-gun owner was that I existed in a kind of gun-free bubble. And that is my middle-class white guy living on the west side of Los Angeles privilege, enabling me to think that way. I'm learning that guns are everywhere in this country, and that there are more of them than there are of us. I'm also mindful of what we heard earlier in this episode from Refugio.
Any community that's been hurt and harmed for 500 years, we would see the same conditions in terms of violence. And it doesn't matter to what community you did that would occur.
And Brian.
The violence doesn't start with the guns.
I hear them both saying that Black and brown communities endure so many forms of violence. Slavery, jail, war, gangs, hunger, gaslighting, over-policing. The list goes on. The choice between different forms of violence is no choice at all. So, where does that leave us? Where does that leave Rich and Dave? The specter of mortality hangs over the daily lives of these two young men. In their mid-20s, they're making plans for their funerals. Rich once told me that he just always assumed he wouldn't make it past his 20s. But during the months we were interviewing Rich and Dave for this project, it was Dave who passed away, peacefully, in his sleep. He was 25. Rich is still alive, we think. He disappeared shortly after Dave passed, but not before giving us consent to tell this story, as long as we dedicate it to his brother. It's my privilege to do that now. The next voice you hear will be that of the real-life Rich, from his oral history, speaking about his brother Dave.
I miss him every day, every second, because that was my best friend. A lot of people say that they don't hang out with their brothers or they don't have that connection with their brothers or they be long distance. But no, me, my brother and myself, we used to hang out all day long, every day. I got your back, you got my back, And it was more than just brother. He was my best friend. We'll go in the store and we'll hit the same thing every day. Twin. I used to get aggravated at the situation, I don't even look like this ugly dude. I used to say that, and he used to laugh. He used to be like, I don't even know him. We used to just make up stuff every time. Because it's obviously we're brothers, but we're not twins. We used to hang out every day. It wasn't no day that went by that we didn't hang out together. We used to have our little talks together. So I was just telling him, like just me and you, we gonna rock this world. And it's like, okay, he's going now. I sleep in his bed, like I just lost a piece of me. We knew we wasn't gonna make it to 21 years old. Even when I made it to 20, shot twice already. I know I'm not gonna make it to 25. He gone now. So it's like, when I die, we're gonna keep my stories going.
When I die, who will keep my stories going? Special thanks for this episode go to Brian Bain, Justin Alston, Anthony Ray Perez, Krista Gonzalez, and Cuco Rodriguez. Extra special thanks to Rich and Dave for sharing their stories with us and giving their consent to share them with you. This podcast was recorded, mixed, and mastered by Paul Horriban at Ready Mix Studios in Van Nuys, California, on the unceded land of the Tongva and Gabrielino peoples. The music is composed by Julio Montero and brought to life by string player Tom Moose, bassist Julian Gomez, and percussionist Isaac Rodriguez. Duncan Woodbury is our sound designer. Dan Fruit and Company is an ensemble working at the intersection of theater and social justice. Company members include actors Justin Alston, Sola Bamis, Natalie Comunis, Krista Gonzalez, Donna Simone Johnson, Anthony Ray Perez, Christopher Rivas, dramaturg Bobby Gordon, oral historian Tula B. Strong, administrator Annie Kahane, social media manager Lily Stockton, associate producer Arpit Gained, and publicist Lynn Tejada of Green Galactic. Dan Fruit is the lead writer and artistic director. If you like what you hear, please tell your friends. And please, please, please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. No matter what you think, we'd love to hear from you. DM us at Dan Fruit and Company, all one word. The stage adaptation of Arms Around America premieres at UCLA's Nimoy Theater on November 15th and 16th, 2024, and on tour around the country after that. We hope to come to a community near you. You've been listening to Arms Around America.